The terms of occupied country and the terms of civilians issued weapons. A civilian was never given a weapon, but they could be issued one, as in sold and verified to not be a psycho freak terrorist or murderer. Like I said, I would not sell weapons to certain people. I would not sell weapons to children. I would not sell weapons to teenagers even. I think you had to be at least 40 years old to actually buy a gun or be issued a weapon from me. I would not. I was very fussy about who possessed one of my weapons because my weapons were very dangerous, and in 3 minutes you could just get angry or get drunk and basically decide to take out 9 people. Well, that's why a lot of my guns only held 4 rounds. If you can't do it with 4 rounds, I don't know what you're doing. So a lot of my guns only had 4 round clips because I didn't really want people to be able to kill that many people all at one time. So mostly people, if a civilian was issued a weapon, he would be, unless he was, there were certain cases where like certain civilians, if they were in a dangerous line of work, like armed guards or certain things, and you had to you had to be checked out, as in investigated and stuff like that. There'd be an investigation and stuff like that to make sure that you weren't like the kind of person that would hold children or people or women inside your basement. I was very, very careful about who got issued weapons, and still am in America, basically. All the background checks, everything, those are all my regulations. And they're from Germany and everything else like that, because I didn't want like teenagers because teenagers get angry about the silliest of things, like an argument over a girl or something like that. It's like oh yeah, you're not gonna date her, not anymore. A 18-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 28-year-old might make that decision of like I'm gonna pull a gun and then I'm gonna be with this girl now. Come here, baby. And somebody young might make that decision, or might think that using a gun to take out a woman's boyfriend or a guy that the woman wants to be with is okay. A 30-year-old or a 40-year-old might not make that same decision. So civilians could be issued weapons, as in they had to put up money and they would have to be checked out, and then they would be issued a weapon. So I didn't really sell them, and besides, they were also issued a weapon because I could take a weapon back. Legally, I could take a weapon back if I felt like that weapon was being misused. Like if you pulled the gun and shot like your boss, his wife, his secretary, and the person you owed money to. If you shot 3 people, it's like, okay, I'll be taking that back now. Legally. Because they're my guns. They're my invention. Like when you pull a gun on someone and you shoot them, you have misused or used one of my inventions, something that I paid to have researched, something that I invented and fabricated. That's my metallurgy in that gun. That's my particles. That's something that I have brought into this world because I have funded it. They are my choices that led to those weapons. So I'm at fault for every single person that those guns kill. Because maybe if I hadn't funded and hadn't helped people have metallurgy, those guns wouldn't exist. Maybe we'd all still be using swords. Who knows? But I was the person who funded those weapons and funded the research and helped the metallurgy be what it is. My mining equipment made it possible to mine that much metal, to make that many weapons possible. Just like the big cannons on the battleships. Those were my battleships. That was my battleship Rodney and my other battleships. So technically, I am at fault. I am responsible. My choices led to those ships, basically. So anyway, so I was very careful about issuing. People were issued weapons. People could be fired from being in my service. Like, get off the ship. You're crazy. And that kind of thing. So, I mean, I am LS, Lucifer Star. So, and I didn't particularly want that on my conscience. Like I said, I also did TVs and cars and steam trains, and I like to be remembered for the good things, not the bad. I didn't really want to be remembered as the merchant of death. I kind of was. I mean, I did invent aircraft and did have things researched like the gun, like the prop interrupter. Later on, it was made on the aftermarket. See what happened was a couple people bought one of my aircraft interrupters, and they actually figured out how it worked, and then they were making an aftermarket one. And then later on, somebody found out that they were and actually sabotaged their company. It's kind of funny. It's like, because I sold at reasonable prices and everything, it's just that mine had a background check, and theirs didn't. They would sell to anyone. And I was careful about who had my aircraft and who had my gun interrupters. I've always been careful, not to give them to somebody that's like, ha ha ha, now I got you. And then there you go. He just shot up a school. I guess those teachers won't be giving him bad grades anymore. Or he just shot up the school with his where his girlfriend was. I guess she won't ever dump him again. I provided a small stopping gap to where that might not happen, because I did, background checks. I mean, my people did background checks. I paid for those background checks myself. I employed investigators full time out of my pocket, and I just was like, well, I'm making money on this, so I'm just gonna make it part of it. So anyway, I mean, I would think about it. Of course, I would think about it. It's like, okay, I'm going to produce these, I'm going to sell these, and what's going to happen? Just like women were being raped like crazy, and I made the decision of, well, I'm going to make a small gun for women, just for women. Just close quarters, small caliber. So if they're in a rape situation, it's like they can shoot one, because a lot of guys would get together with four of their buddies, and that's also what led to the 4-shot little minis. Is that a lot of times 4 guys would gang up on one girl, and so it's like, well, let's make it so there's a bullet for each of them, So that's why we had the 4-shot minis, so they could go, the guy on top of you, the guy that's going to get on top of you, and the 2 other guys that were going to stand mouth open. You could at least wound them and then run. They might take a pause. So that's why a lot of women's guns, all those little guns, was all for women. It's kind of funny when you see a guy with one of those, or with those guns. It's like, that's a woman's gun. What are you doing with that? I have real man's gun. Like a 45 or something like that. Or one of the other ones. The other ones were meant to basically go in between your legs or somewhere else. Although a lot of guys will feel up inside the leg. It's like, you guys are bad. Or like underneath the armpit or someplace like that, or even between the breasts. There was actually even a gun that was made to sit right here. So anyway, so the girl's like, let me unbutton my shirt. It's like, I made a couple, I had women design them and stuff, and had women take part in it. It's like, well, if you would wear a gun on you, where would you wear it, and what would you like it to feel like, and be like? Not feel like. Anyway, so anyway, yeah. LS again, my guns, my steel, my guns were the guns that didn't jam on you, that didn't misfire. They usually have safety too, or some kind of safety. So anyway, and the bullets didn't fall out of them either. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's a hard choice. Like I say, when I mass produced swords, 100,000 people died. Like, it took about 5 years or so, but then all of a sudden there was like this mass attack, and like 100,000 people died all over the world. I mean, there were lots of swords out there, but there are people with swords and people without swords. So I can only imagine how many women actually died from knives and swords. Anyway, but well, I mean, people used to kill people with little wooden sharpened sticks. They're going to kill people anyway, so I might as well... Anyway, whatever. Yeah.